We may be talking about a streaming original today, but it's actually one that I've had my eyes on for quite some time. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about The Gorge, which released last weekend on Apple TV+. It's a mashup of many different genres that we're going to get into shortly, and it's directed by Scott Derrickson, who for me will probably always be known as the guy who made Sinister. I know some people don't care for that one. I don't know why. That movie gave me nightmares. It scared the absolute shit out of me. But truth be told, I like most of Scott Derrickson's movies, whether we're talking about Doctor Strange, the first one, or his most recent film, The Black Phone, which actually also has a sequel coming out this year. So The Gorge started as a spec script written by Zach Dean. It went unproduced for years before being picked up by Skydance and Apple. I remember being intrigued by it when it was announced for a multitude of reasons, ranging from the casting of Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller, the announcement that Scott Derrickson would be directing, the title. So many things got me excited for it, but to be honest, I completely forgot the movie existed until the trailer dropped. It is a mashup of genres. There's some science fiction, horror, action, and romance, all squeezed into one 2-hour movie. The story follows Miles Teller as Levi and Anya Taylor-Joy as Drasa, two elite snipers who are selected to be guards stationed outside of a massive gorge. They are each drugged during their voyage, so they have no idea where this gorge is, and they're also forbidden from communicating with each other because each one is stationed at an opposite end of the gorge, the west and east sides. But what rules weren't made to be broken? Of course, Levi and Drasa begin a semi-romantic relationship that begins with something as simple as written notes that they see each other putting up through binoculars that they have set up at these towers that they're stationed at. And obviously, one of the biggest mysteries of the story is what is actually in this gorge. You know, are they keeping something from getting out? Are they preventing people from getting in because there's something valuable or very secretive within? The first thing I want to say about The Gorge is that it is very messy, regardless of what you think about the ideas presented, the combination of different genres. It isn't the most well-structured, and I think this often happens with spec scripts. As soon as a major studio picks them up and thinks, oh, that's a really cool idea. Sure, the concept is there, but sometimes I think they rush to get the product out into theaters, or in this case on a streaming service, without bothering to tweak the rough edges. The first half of this movie is drastically different from the second, and that's not inherently a bad thing. I just think the flow of events could have been much smoother. I mean, if you watch the first hour of this film and then shut it off, you would think you're watching a cheesy rom-com with some of the goofiest courting behavior that I've seen since Twilight. Okay, not really. I mean, it's not that bad, but it does give off young adult novel feels. The dialogue certainly could have been better. It could have been more convincing at actually making me believe that these two could be a real couple. And I want to make it clear that Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy are both great in the movie individually. I think they're both excellent actors, but I didn't quite feel the chemistry between them. You know, that love at first sight feel that they're going for at times. And I do understand that both characters have a very rugged personality based on things that they've experienced in their lives, but I was hoping for a little bit more vulnerability just so that I could feel more connected to them. The second half is where it turns into an action horror film with a ton of different ideas thrown in there, and I know people have said the exact opposite of this, a few people that I actually know, but the second half is the one that I prefer. Many of our questions about what is in the Gorge and how it came to be are answered, whereas others aren't. And it's not presented in a way that you're able to reasonably fill in the blanks. It more so feels like the screenwriters were too lazy to recognize some inconsistencies and plot holes in their own story, which is frustrating. And a lot of the explanations that we do get are delivered through massive spouts of exposition, which is not my favorite way of conveying information to the audience. But I'd be lying if I told you that this isn't a super entertaining movie, and that's what kind of elevates it above its raw ingredients for me. I mean, I thought the first half was fine, but I wasn't fully engaged, and then when that sudden shift happens, there's just so much going on, so many cool ideas and visuals being thrown into the mix that, you know, for better or worse, my eyes were glued to the screen. Again, many ambitious ideas, some very cool creature designs that felt quite original to me. Some of the shots are just burned into my memory, like I can see them right now when I close my eyes. And for a streaming original that I assume doesn't have many on-location shots, a lot of these things have to be done with green screens, it looks surprisingly good, and not just the environments, but also the creatures, a lot of VFX involved. It's pretty impressive what they were able to do here. Think Annihilation meets Cabin in the Woods. That, I feel, kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to get in terms of the story as well as the visuals. As much as I think the pieces don't fit together into a very cohesive puzzle, it was refreshing to sit down and watch a streaming movie that has the budget, has the original ideas, fantastic action, set pieces, and crazy visual designs that I just haven't seen anywhere else. With that said, it could have been so much more. I just think of what this could have been if they went through a few more rewrites to really hammer down these characters and iron out some of the inconsistencies and plot holes as far as the Gorge itself. And not just the Gorge, but the people that are actually controlling it as well and who have sent these two snipers to guard it. One of these characters is played by Sigourney Weaver, who I absolutely love. Obviously, she's an icon in this industry. But her character did feel very shallow to me, and the intelligence level of some of the characters that are involved behind the scenes, the moment you start to scrutinize the logics behind it, you're definitely going to find some flaws. So while the Gorge is certainly a mixed bag, for me it ever so slightly moves into the positive range, so I'm going to give it 3 stars. So is it worth watching? I'd say if you already have an Apple TV Plus subscription, for sure, throw it on while you're multitasking and doing something else, or if you just want to kick back and watch a relatively high concept, high budget action film. If you do manage to catch it, be sure to let me know what you think of it down in the comments, as well as hitting that like button and subscribing while you're at it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.